Stronghold makes a big announcement involving XRP and Ripple. We also hear from Brad Garlinghouse said he's not as bullish as he once was on the Clarity Act getting passed. We got to play the clip. I got a ton of other data points, brand new information around XRP, G Treasury. We're going to go through it together. Let's go ahead and start with this SHX Stronghold clip, and we'll go into the Brad Garlinghouse stuff right after this.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tammy Camp. I'm the CEO of Stronghold. We're a financial institution that allows fiat on-ramps to distribute blockchain technologies such as Ripple and Stellar and Interledger. This is available via APIs, so developers, I think such as yourselves, can embed it into their applications and allow users to, integrate with USD, or we have 8 fiat currencies coming on board and reach different countries. But this basically allows users to, interact with your ecosystem. So for example, if you have a cryptocurrency that is in your application, say like a poker or gaming site, you could take USD and change it to the poker chips, and then a player could basically play the game, and then once he's done, they could cash out of the poker chips back into USD, and then we send it to their bank account. So basically, we're a payments company.
I like the poker example. I wonder what came to her mind there, just right off the bat, to talk about poker and poker chips being able to kind of interchange. You have had SHX over the past week do a little bit of climbing. You're actually down 3.65 the past week, down 20%. So what is this move here? Is this move is just 2.63%? This move looks a lot bigger on the chart, doesn't it? So it looks like there is a little bit of reaction from this clip here that was posted today that's floating around X from Mr. Man. But Stronghold taking a position. You heard her say Ripple, you heard her say Stellar, and you heard her say Interledger protocol, which I thought was interesting. That's why you can kind of take anything and move it to any other currency or token. And so huge for Stronghold, and we'll love to see more developments from them going forward. Now, this kind of shocked me today, listening to this new clip from Brad Garlinghouse that's floating around X. Everyone's reposting it, so I thought I'd bring it to you so you can hear it yourself. Listen, it's going to be towards like the back end of the clip, like 1 minute mark, 1:10, where he says he's not as optimistic as he once was that the Clarity Act will get passed. But I'll let you hear it first.
I think what happened 2 weeks ago with the SEC and CFTC coming together with a joint statement was truly groundbreaking in a bunch of ways. And from my point of view, it ended an era of lawfare against this industry, which turns out didn't have the support of what the law actually said. So I think that was profound. But I also think we have to recognize that without codified legislative permanence, you still have the risk that the next version of the SEC comes back to Gensler's unlawful war on crypto. And I think that's bad for the United States. I think it's bad policy. It's also bad politics. And what we've seen certainly as we come up to midterms is, being anti-crypto doesn't get you any votes. There's a lot of people who care about this industry, who are directly or indirectly involved. And, I think that's why, some of the voter education in the last cycle was impactful. So I am still optimistic, the Clarity Act. I think it does still matter despite the CFTC and SEC coming together. I think the time is now. I would say I'm probably not quite as optimistic as I once was, but some of the smartest people and Washington insiders that I know have said to me, when people are at their peak frustration, that's when they finally compromise and it gets done. I think we're there.
Listen, when you are talking about a national election, whether that's the presidential election or whether that's like a state Senate seat or a big congressperson seat, in a big district, it really does matter if you can get hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands more votes than the other person that's winning and losing. And that crypto vote made a huge difference in the last election. You remember, even at the last month or few weeks, you heard Kamala Harris's campaign trying to be pro crypto. It was like a little too late at that point, right? But you saw like the panic in real time in their eyes. And that's really what pushed Trump over the edge in this last election and got him the victory. And so Democrats do not want to go into another election with this hanging over their head. So I do think this is going to get done. Personally, it's a little sad to see Brad not as optimistic as he once was. Obviously, he has sources that we don't have here, but very, very hopeful that we still get this done. Now, part of this, like there was that clip and there was a little bit, so you might have some overlap here.
I am still optimistic, the Clarity Act. I think it does still matter despite the CFTC and SEC coming together. I think the time is now. I would say I'm probably not quite as optimistic as I once was, but some of the smartest people and Washington insiders that I know have said to me, when people are at their peak frustration, that's when they finally compromise and it gets done. I think we're there. So hopefully soon. And Senator Hagerty has spoken out and said that he expects it to move through the banking committee in April. So that would be profound, and I remain optimistic.
Yeah, that clip cut off that last part that I wanted to show you, that Senator Hagerty is trying to move it through, and he said last week of April, right? Senator Hagerty
soon. And Senator Hagerty has spoken out and said that he expects it to move through the banking committee in April. So that would be profound.
All right, so we are now April 13th. You're going to get this video on April 14th. So we're halfway through the month. Will we get this done? Please. I'm really hoping, right? Because that'll bring people back to the crypto space. We need retail to come back. I mean, obviously you've been here the whole time. That says a lot about you, right? You're here because you see the opportunity long term. You're not just thinking about today or tomorrow's prices, and you're able to buy, HBAR and XRP at a lot lower prices than when we had, even 4 or 5 months ago. So, this is an opportunity for people that see an opportunity, and the people that left, they're going to come screaming back, right? They're going to come back in a flurry, but then it'll be higher prices and it'll be too late for them. And so just, I'm thankful for the opportunity. Let's just put it that way. XRP ETF volume took off at the same time, about 145 today, and closed out with $26 million. There could be some insider front running with knowledge about the Clarity Act. Could be, could not be. I think we're speculating heavily here. And just to show you some little bit more data point on this, and then Chad also posted, and then he said, oh, look, at Franklin Templeton XRP at the same time as Bitwise XRP ETF volume comes pouring in, shares just took a few hundreds per minute, switched instantly to 3,000 to 7,000 shares per minute. This isn't retail. He's saying that this is a coordinated institutional volume. I mean, there is a lot of insider leakage from Washington at this point, so there could be something, and maybe people are trying to pre-position before something big happens. Man, I know I'm ready for it, and I know you're ready for it too, guys. I did think this was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys seen this. This is floating around X today. Full map of Ripple Treasury, XRP Ledger as the base settlement layer. What do you see here on the screen? Let me know down below what sticks out and what stands out to you. The first thing I looked at was the bottom left, traditional banking rails. I don't know what it was, but this is what stood out to me. You have banks, you have ACH, you have wires, and you have Swift. That's what stood out to me. That is the first thing my eyes locked onto here. And then you also have Nostro Vosto, pre-funded accounts, Ripple replaces. And then of course here on the right, you have Ripple payments, 300 plus institutions. That's something that we say when we go through the data and talk about Ripple and XRP and the opportunity. This is what they have on their freaking back end. This is their ecosystem. You have Ripple Prime, you have clearing, brokerage, RLUSD collateral, you have Ripple custody here, and then you have, of course, RLUSD, and then, of course, the settlement layers. You have the XRP ledger, and then, of course, you have Ethereum layer 2s via Wormhole NTT. And then, of course, up here, you have the enterprise side, and then you have Ripple Treasury here. Just some additional information to kind of close out what this graph looks like. You have AI custodian, you have the Treasury custodian, BNY for RLUSD. This is a really good map and understanding of what everything looks like, and I just wanted to share this with you. Aloha. I've been in crypto for a long time, and here's the one thing that I've learned. Real wins don't come from chasing big moves. They come from building systems that work on their own. Most people have their money scattered everywhere. A bank account here, a brokerage account there, and crypto on all kinds of platforms. Every payday turns into a chore, moving funds around, deciding where everything should go, and rethinking the plan you made last month. I got tired of that. With Uphold, I can have my paycheck deposited directly into the platform. That means my money goes straight where my assets already live. No middleman, no manual transfers, it just shows up. From there, I set the rules once. Some stays in USD, some gets converted into XRP, and I have recurring buys running automatically. No emotional decision every 2 weeks, just a system that keeps going whether I'm watching or not. That's the goal. Not to micromanage every paycheck, but to get out of my own way. honestly, the real value is having everything in just one place. It's completely changed how I manage money. Everything this industry has been through, transparency matters. Uphold publishes real-time proof of reserves. Whether your paycheck lands somewhere, you want to know it's backed by something real. I checked, it's there. Some platforms show receipts, some don't. You already know which ones I trust. Set it once, let it run. Let's go. Also, you have this, and this is now starting to really come into focus, the bigger picture. You have XRP in the middle, and you're going to have all of these digital fiat currencies on the XRP ledger. And remember, once you really get the Swiss franc, the British pound, the Swedish krona, you have the euro here, the Japanese yen, the Australian dollar, Mexican peso. Once you have all of these currencies really set up, and you have XRP as that bridge, that liquidity layer, I mean, it's going to be all over but the shouting for this ecosystem, because this is really where institutional value is going to flow in the trillions. And this is what really makes me excited when I get up and look at these types of things every day. And this is really what I want to show you, right? And here it says, eliminate payment disarray without netting. Without multilateral netting, managing payments across multiple entities becomes disjointed, leading to higher transaction costs, cash flow inefficiencies, and increased financial risk. Fragmented payments and unmatched exposure prevent the ability to secure better rates and optimize liquidity. And it says, with netting, Ripple's treasury netting solution removes the hassle of managing multiple emails, due dates, and currencies, bringing efficiency and structure to the process. It says, by matching FX exposures and aggregating non-matched exposures, your netting center can trade larger volumes at better rates, reducing X costs and improving cash flow management. So you love to see that. And then of course, it says our strategic Ripple's treasury ecosystem strategy helps clients create digital workflows and end-to-end solutions across the corporate treasury value chain. Our strategic partnerships with leading banks, Swift, Refinitiv, and third-party solution vendors combined with extensive integration combined to provide corporate treasurers with the seamless data flow needed to make real-time decisions. And, you know, they have some, words from some of their clients here about the solutions and how well they've done. And it's really great to see this type of stuff. Now, Brad Garlinghouse says, listen closely. Brad Garlinghouse says the quiet part out loud. Major banks, including HSBC and StockGen, are Ripple customers.
Today, banks are our customers. We have lots of financial institutions around the world, payment providers, everybody from HSBC and StockGen all the way down to, smaller players you've never heard of doing payment processing between the Philippines and Singapore. We do have a conditional OCC charter, which is really for almost belt and suspenders regulatory oversight for our stablecoin business. We launched a stablecoin business 13 months ago. It stands at about number 5, the largest stablecoins now, which we're in just over a year, we're very proud of. But we went kind of the extra step of having regulatory oversight, both through the New York Department of Financial Services, the trust license. Then we also went and applied for an OCC charter, which we now have conditional approval on. We think that uniquely positions us as, almost over-regulated, but we want that. Because we work with institutions, we want them to look at us as going above and beyond to make sure there is that level of oversight, so there's no questions about, is the stablecoin backed one-to-one? Is it the attestations on a regular basis about those backings? So we think that's important if we want stablecoins to impact in a positive way.
All right. Let me continue here. You did see this announcement, XRP and Rakuten Wallet. Rakuten Wallet integrates XRP, unlocking 44 million users and Japan's largest loyalty ecosystem. Starting April 15, 2026, Rakuten Wallet will launch XRP as both a listed asset and a payment method, meaning users can buy XRP directly with Rakuten points and charge their Rakuten Cash with XRP to spend it with over 5 million merchant locations across Japan. That is pretty big. Points become purchasing power. Users can convert Rakuten points directly into XRP with 3 trillion plus points issued with approximately 23 billion US dollars. There is a massive reservoir of value that can flow into digital assets. And so that is a pretty big deal. And I wanted to just take a look and verify all of this, of course, like we always do. This is a big deal because it plugs XRP directly into one of Japan's largest, most regulated customer loyalty ecosystems and turns it from a trading asset into a day-to-day payment and loyalty rail. So here is maybe a new use case for XRP and to be able to acquire XRP through Rakuten points. And so obviously, if there are other use cases where you can, use XRP, turn XRP into something from, airline miles or whatever else, obviously that could add even more value to the ecosystem. It's just making it easier for some people to be able to acquire XRP through, loyalty points. All right. And then also the Working Money channel did post this. Japanese financial institutions, that was a very bad, Japanese financial institutions are reviving XRP's payment use cases with pilots showing faster settlements and significantly lower transfer costs compared to SWIFT. XRP Ledger is proving to be a major leap ahead of SWIFT. Let me go ahead and play this.
Japanese financial institutions are putting XRP's payment use case back at the center of the market after reported pilots resulted from Tokyo showed faster settlement and sharply lower transfer costs. The pilots presented at the XRP Tokyo 2026 reportedly showed that cross-border payments using XRP settled in under 4 seconds and came in about 60% cheaper than SWIFT-based transfers. So SWIFT, even though they're working on their blockchain, they really still have to up their game. The XRP ledger is leaps and bounds ahead of them. So when you have the non-netting system here, everything just seems chaotic, but you center the netting in one central location, leveraging XRP, of course, as that bridge currency. And guys, then you get efficiencies. Treasury, making the system more valuable and more efficient using XRP. And they're partnering with other companies like Infor as well to accomplish this same thing.
All right. And then, of course, Chad Steingraber did put this out. Upbit is still leading by a large margin with over 6 billion XRP. Binance only has a third of that. So taking a look here about how much XRP is sitting on particular exchanges. Here you go, Upbit for 6.5 billion. Here's Binance at 2.5 billion. Coinbase only 41 million. Does that sound right? Maybe they have multiple wallets here, but that means that the available XRP on Coinbase is at extreme low. Here's Evernorth at 388 million. Even Doppler Finance here at 13 million. CoinJar at 28 million. Bitfinex at 45 million. And some other off-brand exchanges. Robinhood here checking in at 865,000. Dang, that's not strong at all. Robinhood, where you at? KuCoin here at 2 million. Crypto.com at 343 million. Uphold 1.625 billion XRP. Uphold flexing. That is a lot of XRP sitting on Uphold. Great to see it. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for being here. Please support the channel with a like. If you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. I bring as much XRP and crypto content as that I can make per day. If you're trying to join the conversation, if you like Discord, there's a link to my community down in the description. You can join Kryptonaires absolutely free. I'm posting a lot of live information there. And if you just want to ask a question, that's the place to get a hold of me. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time.